See, I actually did the sound. You're listening to the Nightcap, the Lakers Nightcap, with Joe Soro and Gerald Glassford, and likely soon to be Sean Grice once he gets his head out of his ass. And then we're going to be talking some serious stuff tonight, folks. So get ready. Gerald's going to be entertained, more normal than usual. So salute to everyone for the first Nightcap drink. So, what has happened since our show this morning? I've happened to read more exquisite information on our ownership, and I say our ownership as in the Lakers ownership. Saw some definite comings and goings with what happened with Dan Hurley. Some can look at it as a workaround. Some can take it at heart. I don't know, Gerald. What do you think? Do you think the interview went pretty well and was pretty convincing on Dan Hurley's part?
Well, again, I've touched on it briefly during our conversation with Alfred Esmond. Big shout out to Alfred Esmond of Orlando Magic Daily earlier today. I hope you get a chance to see it. Really, really in depth on it. And I will say that it did shed some light, and all the points that Laker Nick discussed in the email that he sent to us. A big shout out to Laker Nick as well. Does such a great job for us, and truly cannot thank him for everything that he does for us here behind the scenes. I told him to come on the show today too, but you know, Nick, he picks and chooses his times to come on. But it does, a few major points that he wants to go ahead and get across, and that he didn't email. He said, discussions with the agent about as far as for the Lakers job, it started a week ago Monday, refuting Woj's position that he was the focus from the start. Number two is that his wife was against going to LA at first, but then warmed up to it. Confirms that there's probably, quote unquote, a number that would have taken him out of UConn, which we'll get back to in a sec, Joe. Again, which we'll get back to in a sec. Without saying it explicitly, number four confirms LBJ is coming back, because I guess it was told to him about their thoughts on LeBron James. And he also suggested that management told him that LeBron James will be there beyond next season. He did not speak directly to LeBron James about the job, and I know he wanted to, but has had interactions with him before, but did not directly interact with him on this. And finally, he says it was never a quote unquote leverage play to get more money at UConn, although you and I both know eventually he'll get more money out of this at UConn. But the number 3 point, I want to go ahead and in particular, Joe, discuss that issue in regards to where he alludes to that there was probably a number in mind that could have gotten him from UConn over to LA. You and I keep stressing it. They're Pale Fox and others, Jovan Buha, or they're trying to tell you no, that was a fair offer. That was good. It's not saying it's a fair offer, good offer. We're not saying that wasn't that. It is a good offer. It's a fair offer. But you needed an offer to blow him away, and that was not going to do it. You could read the room. You could understand that was not going to do it. When we first saw the numbers being tossed around, 10 for 125, 10 for 100, 10 for 125 probably would have been more ideal, but those are the kind of numbers that would have made him pop out and say, you know what, I really got to think about it now, Joe.
Well, let's look at the list here. First one was an interesting one. So discussions with the agent about Lakers started last Monday, refuting Woj's position that he was the focus. So this is status quo for a weasel like Woj, right? To say something happened and then somebody says, no, that's not what happened from the horse's mouth. If these guys were so close, why would they throw their own guy under the bus, right? Right?
Because all this time, JJ Redick thought he was the guy.
Okay.
He was the guy throughout this whole process.
Well, what I'm saying is, number one is important to understand and to reiterate, to stop listening to these hacks. These guys are not journalists. They're not insiders. They're neither. They are tabloid clowns. I want to make that very, very clear. There's a few things we're going to talk about today that we've somewhat touched on, but we want to really, really emphasize on. And it's not really towards the Lakers, really. It's about the culture of basketball, culture of sports in general. And I have a lot of respect for Dan Hurley for coming out and saying what he said. And I'm also going to touch up on Kendrick Perkins's interview from actually a few weeks ago that I actually missed, that I didn't catch until now. I'll get that. I'll get to that in a second. It involves voting in the NBA, and you all know that for those of you who've been watching the show regularly, you know we've been on these voters in the NBA and how bad they've been.
Yeah.
But going back to number one, we just got confirmation that Wojnarowski is a chump. I don't think that would be a lie on Dan Hurley's part. So it just adds to the fact that guy's a chump. To say that they were thinking about Dan at the beginning, only to find out that from the horse's mouth, he wasn't. He might have broken the story because maybe during the time where he wrote the book for his pops, he might have had some other people in and around that circle that might have tipped him a little bit, and he went with it. I think that's likely what probably happened. So number one was a really nice thing to hear. No one was surprised, at least I wasn't, at how that kind of came about. So Woj, you and Shams are the same, as much as you guys want to deny it. You're both hacks. You're both talentless hacks. You're only good at one thing, and that's during trade deadline time and free agent time, where you can get out the news maybe 2 or 3 seconds before anybody else does. So let's go to number two.
I'm sorry, Joe. All this going on with Sean behind the scenes, in and out, and in and out.
Sean, get a new computer for God's sakes.
You know what? I don't
Stop
know.
interrupting me. I gotta finish this.
That Canadian internet.
Yeah, it's not the Canadian internet. It's the stupid when you do more than.
Well, I know I'm trying to get talked to here in Vegas.
When you do more than 2 people on this particular stream format, it does that. But let's stay to the topic of hand. If you guys handle all that. Wife was against going to LA, but then warmed up to it. Okay, so what did we talk about when we talked about the wife-husband thing? Remember how we were talking about the wife? Happy life, happy life, happy wife. Sean Grice lingo. Happy wife, happy life. Guys, you can't sit there and say that Dan Hurley is this man's man and this beast and this type A and this alpha and this guy that yells on the sidelines like a maniac, and then all of a sudden say, well, he's going to have to go check with his wife. Guys, come on.
So you're saying that
Of course she warmed up. This guy's job is to teach people to bend to his will. You don't think he did that with his wife? Of course he did. He's a man. He's a real man, right? So I agree on that one as well. That makes more sense to me than, well, honey, do you want to go to LA? No, that's not what happened. It's not what happened. What happened was she warmed up to it because he sat her down, probably said, honey, let's listen to what they say. Maybe they'll drop $100 million on us. And she's like, I can live in Malibu for $100 million. I know there's a lot worse places in the world than not to live in Malibu with $100 million. And by the way, all the yuppies in Connecticut, you think they're any different than the fake plastic people in LA? Trust me, I know. I have people that live in Connecticut. I have people that stay there all the time. No difference, man. This is still America at the end of the day. So, number one, number two on the dot makes 100% sense, at least to me. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 is the crushing one for me. That one crushed me a little bit because he wanted to be wowed. He allowed you, morons, to wow him. He flew. Granted, it's probably paid for by you, but he still said yes. He has the number 1 job in college basketball, and he still said, you know what? Yes, I will come and see what you have. And what did they do? Oh, we'll give you a couple $100,000 more to come play with us. Yeah, I gotta go to concert or something. So, yeah. Okay. So, number 3, that should be pasted right in front of Staples, right next to LA Live, right next to the statues. Number 3 is confirmed that there was probably a number that would have taken him out of UConn. But you guys came up. Sean, what was it again?
Go ahead, Sean. I'm going to unplug you now. Go.
What was it, Sean? What happened? It wasn't this, but it was like
it was mid.
It was a limp noodle.
Mid is the new word of the culture, right? Mid is you're just mid.
It's meh.
Right?
Mid.
Okay, so let's go to number 4. And by the way, we want to thank Nick Molina for this list. Nick Molina paraphrased the list, put it in a nice little package for us so that we could read it quickly and explain it quickly. So number 4, without saying it explicitly, confirmed that LBJ is coming back, which we kind of thought that too already, but it was nice to hear it from him. And suggests that that management told LeBron that, you know, he's going to be there beyond next season. So that's good. Now we really, really know that LeBron's not going to Philadelphia. He didn't speak to LeBron, which I wasn't campaigning for that. But what I did want was I wanted ownership to say, LeBron, hey, at the very least, LeBron, hey, you're going to need to listen to this guy if you want this to work. But obviously, I don't know if that happened, and we'll never know. Last one being, he said he never used it as leverage to UConn. My instincts tell me I believe him there as well. I don't see why he would do that to a place he loves. Why would he do that? You don't think he could just go to the president or the chancellor or the boosters and say, look, guys, you know, property values going up, my taxes went up, groceries went up. Can you guys throw me another mill, please? You don't think they're going to do that, especially with the three-peat that's more likely than not to happen? So we got some closure here. We got some closure here today, guys. 2 things that I came away with today with the whole Dan Hurley campaign is I have a lot more respect for Dan Hurley and his process, and I'm going to be rooting for him. I wasn't against him or for him before, but I'm for him now because I have a lot of respect for how he carried himself in the interview and what he said. I like honesty sometimes. It's nice to see some honesty and some confirmation on stuff that we already sort of know and figured out. The other is we have further realized what an absolute gutter, what an absolute gutter water that this management is and regime, the current regime of the LA Lakers. So, Sean, I know you've had your supper now. Are you full and you're feeling good? You feeling good?
You can make fun. One of my best friends can make fun of me all he wants. I was eating quail eggs. Especially after what you told me about 30 minutes ago, the fact that I'm an insensitive jerk for doing this, but no one knows what we talked about, so it doesn't matter.
Well, you're an insensitive jerk, period. This is news?
Yeah.
So I want to get Gerald kind of started the ball rolling here, so I want to get your take on the future, and of course your assessment on what I just talked about.
Well, I gotta say your assessment was fried Portuguese chicken and potatoes. Really good.
really good, Joe. Yeah, it feels like Rob Pelinka is the garbage man with the smelliest trash heap around in the NBA. Even though he likes to make it disguise it as something pretty, it's like you said, it's gutter water, it's sewer trash.
And it's important to make. It's important to stick those words in there because those words hurt deeper than any curse word. You know, there's nothing
It's more descriptive.
There's nothing more dirty than sewer water.
Now, for a week, they're talking about your mask and why don't you take off the mask? Now they're asking why you don't have your mask on, John. You can just never make our crowd happy.
I can't, no. And I already mentioned it that, it's a fait accompli that they're likely going to make JJ Redick the head coach at some point. So just decide to abandon the.
Sorry, Sean. I just got an email. It's
pretty
hilarious.
funny, isn't it? Yeah.
You got to read it after you're done, Sean. That's funny.
Please.
Yeah.
Sure. But go ahead, my friend. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I can't make. I'm a heathen. I can't even make the other heathens happy about this. I will say this though. I'll say this, and if the Lakers hire JJ Redick as their head coach, and they draft Bronny James as the 55th pick, I'm saying this right now. I will never take the mask off until both of those guys are out of the Lakers universe.
Don't do that to yourself, man.
Well,
unless you're being compensated by AAA or CMLL Lucha Libre of Mexico, please don't do that to yourself.
I feel like I would rather be disguised than having to watch that Drek, Gerald.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying you don't have to. Heathens is a good song, Xbox, but unfortunately here in the States, Sirius XM on certain channels plays it to death.
So, like,
I always hear that song.
Yeah, but 21 Pilots is a great band anyway. Okay. I mean, Heathens is a great song, but they don't make a bad song.
But they play that song to. I'm just telling you, okay.
A terrestrial radio for sure. I can imagine.
They play that song a lot. S1 Nico says, "Are we going to be stuck in play in purgatory for a few years?"
Yes.
I
would say it, at least
word right out of my mouth.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's look at the standings. Let's look at the West. And
afterward, I just want to let you know at the very end of the show, don't let me forget the NBA draft update news that took place after our show earlier today.
Would you say that the Warriors are likely to get better next year?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Nope.
Houston.
Yes.
Okay. The Jazz.
To be determined.
Grizzlies.
Probably not.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Spurs.
A little better.
Okay. So we're basically saying that everyone other than Portland and maybe the Warriors, who still have Steph Curry, by the way, are going to get better, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have 14 teams in a 15-team conference that are all going to play better. Do you see the Thunder going down?
I don't think they're going to be the first seed, but there's not a big dip there. There's still a top 4.
Do you see the Thunder going down?
I just said I don't think they're a number 1 seed again, but
do you see the Nuggets going down?
No.
Do you see the Timberwolves going down?
No.
Do you see the Clippers going down? Maybe if they lose Paul George?
To be determined. I think the Clippers and the Jazz are the 2 mystery teams.
Mavericks, probably a player away from coming back and making some noise. They still have Luka. Suns might go down, maybe.
I think they're a top 6 seed still.
I think what we've gotten from this question is that we're likely going to have 14 teams that are ifs, yeses, and maybes, and more yeses than ifs and maybes. So that means there's going to be a lot of competitive basketball between 14 teams.
Well, Chauncey Billups having more job security than Darvin Ham was not on my bingo card. I got to say that.
But the Trailblazers will be playing for the number 1 overall pick next year. That's about the only team in the West that I haven't really given anything in. They're probably going to have a fire sale, get rid of Jeremy Grant, get rid of whomever they can to probably
Portland's bailing ship. Yeah, they've got Jeremy Grant and Brogdon, who I think it's time to go ahead, and if you're going to trade them now. This is probably the last time, especially with Grant's contract, which is one of the worst in the NBA, to see what kind of value you can still get out of those guys.
So the Lakers are not a for sure fire playing team at this point. Hell, they were They were tinkering 3/4 of the way there, anyways. So I don't know. I don't know where that's going to go, especially if you hire someone like JJ Redick, whom alienates certain players, especially one of your big twos. What if he gets under Anthony Davis's skin?
It's not what. It's a matter of when.
The season is over at that point then, and the drama increases. We're going to see more Woj yapping. We're going to see more Shams yapping. We'll see Plashke and his troll ass come out of nowhere and yap about more negative things like he has since he's been.
We won't see much of Zach Lowe because he's balding and he doesn't do many TV appearances anymore.
Is that why he's not? Because he's balding? Don't they have laser surgery for that?
But he's doing the comb over.
Yeah.
The really bad comb over.
Never really understood the comb over.
Me neither. Me neither.
Bick the son of a gun. And if you have a bad head, then just accept the fact that you're going to need to do the shoehorn. So I digress. So the Lakers right now got dealt a little bit of more negativity here with the official interview after the fact with Dan Hurley. And we came away with that, at least I did, came away with a lot of respect for Dan Hurley and his assessment and his communication and what happened. And of course, it only makes the Lakers look even more buffoonery, if you will. So next subject at hand, something that I just found out not just a few hours ago that had actually been around the wire that I'm surprised I didn't catch. So did you guys happen to catch, well, now of course you did because I sent it out, but Kendrick Perkins has relinquished his vote. He was one of the voters in the NBA for their awards, and he revoked himself due to the fact that he voted for Rudy Gobert for Defensive Player of the Year and said, I will never vote for Rudy Gobert again for anything because of Rudy Gobert's disappearing act once again in the playoffs. So, Gerald, what's your take on that? Do you agree with Kendrick Perkins? And is Kendrick Perkins starting to make a mark that we've actually talked about we needed in this thing? He's doing it. He actually did it. He came out and said, I suck. Here's my voting card.
I'm just going to say this, and when it comes to Kendrick Perkins, it's how you evaluate the regular season, Sean. I'm glad you got a chance to read it, by the way. It is true. I've been waiting for that moment for a while, and I'll leave it at that. But when it comes to Kendrick Perkins, Joe, it is just, my God, how should I say this? It's how you evaluate these regular season awards. And Kendrick is trying to say because of the inconsistent play and the fact that he has been played off the floor on several occasions and he just hasn't been able to get it done a lot in the postseason, that he feels that he's been Joe. What are you doing, Joe?
What?
Anyways,
What are you doing?
you know what you're doing, Joe. Anyways,
You son of a gun.
yeah. So much for stealth on that one. Joe, I'm just gonna say that it depends on how you evaluate regular season to postseason wars and how you evaluate. Oh, okay, well, this guy doesn't get it done in the postseason, so you should automatically punish him for what he does in the regular season. So I don't know. And again, I don't know whether you should compliment Kendrick Perkins on it or not. I just think that, again, that's how he feels. You should respect that. And the fact that he's going to man up and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and relinquish my vote because the way he's not gotten it done in the playoffs, fine, no problem. Give it to someone else who maybe can make better choices going forward. But Rudy Gobert as the defensive player of the year, it's a regular season award. And that's great for the regular season, but maybe they should start talking about moving the awards till after the playoffs and then evaluating it as a whole season.
No.
Well, then
Absolutely not.
But then the reasoning that you're just talking,
Absolutely not. Get with it, Gerald.
you get with it.
You're not with it. You're behind.
No, you're behind.
You are so behind, you think you're leading in the race.
No, I am leading you because you're behind.
You haven't led jack squat in your comment. Okay,
You can kiss
this
my
has
ass.
nothing
is
to
what
do
you
with regular season
They always
versus
change.
playoffs.
They always
okay?
change what it
We are talking
is, though.
about, is he the best defender in the league?
Well, that's an award. That's all he's
No,
doing.
he's not. I don't care if it's regular season, playoffs. He is not a number one defender in the league, and he's been giving that award four times.
Mhm.
He's not. Wembanyama should have been the defensive player of the year, or Anthony Davis.
Well, I give
Because
you
you
on
know
Anthony
why?
Davis.
You know
I'll give
why?
you on Anthony Davis,
I've
but I won't do it on
watched-
Wembanyama
I've
because
watched Rudy Gobert. I've watched Bam Adebayo this year. There's no one that's afraid of those guys. No one. You know who they're afraid of when they go to the hole? Anthony Davis, and more so Wembanyama. Wembanyama got robbed. He should have won the award.
I disagree with you because Wembanyama is playing for
No.
how bad is that team?
No.
How bad is that
Really
team
bad.
overall
That
defensively?
is no.
Really
See, you
bad.
keep putting the team stuff in it. I'm talking about an individual award. Wake up! It's
He
not a
anchors
team
the defense.
award.
Yeah,
the
but-
guy that guy
Joe,
that's the defensive player of the year anchors supposed
It's
to anchor
not
the
a
defense.
team award. Wembanyama has no choice when he has 4 G Leaguers on his team. He
But
can
J-
only do so much.
But Joe, doesn't Gerald have a point though? When
Gerald
everyone-
has a point.
No,
when
he doesn't.
But when
Gerald,
It's an
Gerald-
individual
when-
award.
it is, but as we've seen the past 4 times that Rudy Gobert has won it, it's always mentioned that how he makes his other teammates better defensively.
Who?
Gobert
Okay, if he
and
makes his team better,
Gerald.
then why is he getting destroyed every
Hold on.
Did Wembanyama make his other teammates better defensively because
Is this a team
did
award
not.
or an individual award? You guys aren't answering my question.
you're not answering mine? Why?
It's an individual award.
He's on a 22-win team. You're rewarding ineptitude.
Hey, can somebody explain something to me so that, brains work?
Yours
What is
isn't.
the Defensive Player of the Year award? Is it a team award or individual award?
So you're
Oh,
wanting
how
to.
mu-
You're
so-
wanting to. Okay, so why don't we just start giving MVPs to the guys that are scoring 30 points on 10-win
Association
teams?
Defensive Player of the Year. Where does it say team in there?
Does Wemby make his teammates better? Brandon saying yes. Funny, didn't make him any better than a 22-win team this past season.
Mhm.
Silence. I just proved my point.
You proved nothing. You proved that you don't
I
know what the
just
hell
proved
you're
my point.
talking about.
You proved it. You haven't proved
You
anything.
keep mentioning
Eric,
team. There is
it's
an
a 20
individual
You're
award.
rewarding a 22.
I saw 3 players get scared to
because
go to
you
the
saw a
basket
highlight
against
on
one
YouTube.
guy.
You think you know everything.
You're talking out your ass. That's what
So
you're
are
doing right
you.
now. You don't even know. No, I'm not. It's an individual
He's on
award.
a
You keep bringing up
22-win
team stuff.
team.
It's an individual award.
If he was so good defensively and he did make his teammates better, How come they only won 22 games?
So, Joe, when we're talking
Silence again.
No, it's not silence.
Joe,
your
when we're talking
stupid analysis is mind-boggling to me.
So when
Your
you're
stupid analysis doesn't get
yours
anything
is
done.
You're talking about a team thing again when I keep telling you it's an individual award.
but there are 5 guys on a basketball court playing.
Then why have an individual award?
Okay.
Why have an individual award?
Okay.
Who's the most valuable player of the NBA?
Okay. You're not.
Just make it the team award.
You don't want to listen to
the Lakers
reason.
are the most valuable team.
You don't want to listen
the
to
Celtics
reason.
are the most valuable team in the NBA. Just say that. Since it's team oriented.
Okay.
No, you guys are dead wrong on all this. You'll never convince it otherwise.
Joe, why
You'll
did
never convince me otherwise.
Well,
then
answer this question, Joe?
At
When
least the
Rudy
Lakers, though, at least when it comes to Anthony Davis, he was on a decent team and helped anchor to the defense enough to where they were a winning organization this season. That at least you could sell me on.
Finish,
You can't sell me
Sean.
on
I can't
Wemby.
listen to this guy talk right now.
Shut
His
up.
brain is
Shut up,
somewhere
Joe.
else. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna counter Joe with why, if you weren't gonna give it to Rudy and you were gonna give it to Wemby, how do you explain the huge drop off when Wemby is off the floor and Rudy Gobert is off the floor? There's a huge drop off with both of those teams when both of those guys are off the floor, and the Spurs were bad already.
See, he never has an answer for that.
You guys, your logic is trash.
That's his comeback. That's his comeback, Sean. That's his. Your logic.
You keep
is
talking
trash.
about team stuff.
keep
It's an
talking over
individual
your
award. I don't know how many times I got to say it. It's an individual award.
Okay,
It's
Joe.
not a team award. Wake up.
You're so funny, Joe. You're hilarious.
So we've talked about someone
Brandon Joe did not
we've
win.
talked about Kendrick Perkins finally taking ownership in the terrible voting in this league and the really terrible analysis by Gerald Glassford and Sean Price.
And
Joe, how do you explain this?
And Joe Soro.
Why do you think Victor Wembanyama had a higher block rate than Rudy Gobert this year?
Well, we won that argument. That's for sure, right there. When Joe comes with a silence where he has nothing to say as far as
you won in the Laker fantasy land is where you won.
This is Joe's look for like 10 seconds after Sean or I come up with something.
No, that's you doing it. You just did it. Yeah, I didn't do any of that stuff.
I have nothing to say except for
I was talking about individual awards. You keep bringing up team crap.
Because team defense matters.
Joe. I thought you were in the results business.
I am the results business. The best defender last year was Wembanyama.
Joe, team defense matters in the overall picture of
not for an individual award.
It does.
No, it doesn't. Results business. I thought you had.
Wait a minute.
I'm in the results.
You're talking about. Sorry, you're talking about the chicken and the egg here.
No, I'm not talking about eggs or chicken.
Yeah, you are.
I'm talking about best defender. It's an individual award. Players don't have a choice in having talent on their team.
If it's an individual award, then why is team defense such a significant factor in who gets that award?
So if somebody scores over 30 points next year and they're on a 15 team, they'll be up in the
this league.
Given the
this
MVP?
League gave James Harden and Russell Westbrook MVPs in back-to-back seasons. Okay, you're telling me those guys made their teammates better?
Okay, was Dwight Howard the best defensive player in the NBA when he won his Defensive Player of the Year awards?
He won it, what, in 09? Did he win it in 08? He won 3 in a row, right? So 07, 08. Yeah, that's what you should be using. I think he won 3 in a row, right?
Yes, he did.
So 07, 08, 09. Definitely 09.
Okay. I'll give you
one.
one.
I'm sorry. No, 08 was Kevin Garnett. I think he won in 6, 7. No. He won in 5, 6, 7, and then 09, right? He won 3. He won 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 09, 10, and 11 then.
Because you could make an argument that neither Ben Wallace nor Dwight Howard were the best defensive players, and yet they still won Defensive Player of the Year award.
Why wouldn't you say Ben Wallace wasn't the best?
Because I'd argue that there were a couple better defenders at the time than him.
I wasn't. By the way, I'm not.
You mean like Ron
I didn't
Artest?
pick Rudy Gobert.
Well, Ron Artest
as my
won.
defensive player of the year. I
Ron
picked
Artest
Anthony
won
Davis as my defensive player of the year. So
Ron Artest won a
AD
Defensive
was
Player of
mine.
the Year award in Ben Wallace's prime. So, I would just make that argument that I wouldn't have given it to him 3 years in a row.
yeah, the Marcus Smart one where he won, I thought that was just wrong.
Yeah.
No, there's been an argument about why they keep picking centers who get more rebounds and more blocks, and then they would just give those guys the Defensive Player of the Year award. I had talked about how it's harder for a guard to be a great defender because they have to actually guard what's in front of them, whereas centers and bigs usually can sit back and wait for the offense to come to them, have it filtered to them. They need a little bit of an assistance. So if you're a standout individual perimeter type defender, you have to give those guys, to me, more of the cachet there than a big. And that's something that's been going on for years. I don't understand how you went from Gary Payton to Marcus Smart. You have that huge of a gap between two guards that have won Defensive Player of the Year. That's a harder position to be great at on defense. And it goes back to, again, too many clowns don't understand what they're voting for.
Well, let's see, again, you could go back and forth. I would argue that Marcus Camby deserves at least one or two of Ben Wallace's Defensive Player of the Year awards. We can argue back and forth about what's going on here. I mean, for goodness sake, if Time Lord didn't get hurt so much and he was a starter, he would likely win a Defensive Player
How
of
does
the Year.
Triple J win the Defensive Player of the Year last year?
How did Triple J win it?
Yeah.
Because he had a high block rate and Minnesota was the darling of the NBA. So it had more to do with
Memphis.
Excuse me, Memphis.
Yeah.
So their team success had a lot to do with his individual award.
What's up, Felix?
Just make it a team award then. Just make it a team award. NBA Team Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, Joe.
And everyone gets a piece of it.
Joe,
like, you know how when Hakeem, hey guys, come hang out.
Well, let me ask you this.
Why don't my MVP
why don't you just move
or it could be like Joe Cap. Joe Cap wins I think it was the NFL MVP or NFC MVP.
Joe,
like, I'm sorry, I can't accept this award because this is a team.
Joe, how much
really?
Joe, how much does individual defense matter in the NBA now compared to even 10 years ago?
Then get rid of the award.
They're not gonna get
rid of it. Make it a team award.
Because Perkins' reasoning is he sucks so bad in the playoffs. I'm suggesting, why don't you move those individual awards to the end of the actual season?
That would be the best alternative
so you can see and evaluate the regular and playoffs.
How about use your brain?
I've just made a suggestion.
We keep catering to everything. How about just use your brain? Look what Perkins did.
He's got a functioning brain.
And I just proved you wrong again because you're not listening to the question I just made. I love how I just asked you
he said he wasn't Catholic. How about that?
I just asked you a question, and you didn't
keep
answer
saying
it.
You're right. You're not right.
Use your brain and
you're
use your ears, then so it could get to your brain, so you could actually express and answer the question with your mouth.
This is like watching.
Every time I talk about an individual award, you keep talking about team crap.
This is like watching.
No, you did, because you didn't listen to a word I said. I ain't
listening.
Not
to
going
nonsense.
into ears, not going into your brain, and not coming
I'm not listening
out of your
to
mouth.
nonsense. It's nonsense.
Joe, you got wax in your ears.
I just said.
No, I clean my ears every day.
With what?
Kendrick Perkins.
With what?
If you listen, Joe.
Go ahead, talk. Go. Tell us your.
Kendrick Perkins' issue was how Gobert has been so terrible in the postseason. Okay, then maybe somebody or a suggestion to throw out there is to move those single awards for the players, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever whatever you want to put in, and put it at the end of the season, so you can account for playoffs, postseason, and regular season.
Yeah, again, this is all to accommodate the Northeasterners who are too stuck up to change variances on the way they vote. Yes, you could wait till the end of the regular season and the playoffs to properly evaluate those individual awards.
You guys finished? Can I go now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go down to some pressing information now. Sean, we've been talking about this for a few days. You all know you know where I'm going with this. This is a futile argument because you guys are the problem. This is why the voting is trash, because of your whole point of this. I try to simplify it. You guys make it more complicated. You actually destroy the whole argument. So with that, I'll let it die a death. I don't, whether Wembanyama wins an award or not doesn't make a difference in my life. But
he's gonna win it next year. That's for sure.
What? Yeah, and they'll win what? 29 games? Yeah, yes, that's right. He was the best now because they won 6 more games, and he enhanced the 6th man. Okay, whatever. Anyways,
do you think his defensive prowess is worth a plus 10, Joe?
His defensive prowess is based off of fear. To me,
yeah.
I base it off fear.
Yeah. Okay, I understand that.
You can go with stats. He had the stats too, by the way, and that there is room for that too. I'm not saying stats aren't important in this equation, but I feared 2 guys in the NBA this year when it came to defense. Feared 2 guys, Anthony Davis and Wembanyama. And Wembanyama I had him over Anthony Davis because I saw on many occasions, even when the Lakers were playing the Spurs, where I'm like, oh, shoot. Ooh. Right before a play would happen, and Wembanyama is there.
And we'll see. That's a fair point, Joe. We'll see it next year when Wembanyama doesn't have as high of a block rate because people don't want to test him at the rim because, this year he was a rookie and a lot of people just really wanted to see, if this guy is the real deal. It was a big test for him. So I think you got a point there when he's not going to have the block rate that he had this year.
So you don't mind that San Antonio was overall 25th in defense this year?
Oh, yeah, I think it's a big deal.
But Joe doesn't say so. Although, again, Lakers were only 19th, but AD was my choice for Defensive Player of the Year. So that's, again, Gobert didn't deserve it in my eyes, but Joe never.
Tell him, Brandon.
So, Gerald, to be fair, who was the second best? Who would you evaluate as the second best defender on the Lakers last year?
Good question. Would Vando out virtually the entire season? Gabe Vincent giving you nothing. Okay. Intel Wild's not giving you money to drink, Joe, so you're just doing it on the house.
No.
So that's a
I'm
good
not talking
question.
to you.
Oh, you're
I'm
talking
to the people in the chat.
He's a little hurt. He's got his feelings hurt.
No, that's you. I don't get
Gerald proved him wrong, and he's got his feelings hurt. Oh, poor Joe.
Good for you, Mission. That's a good beer.
Poor Joe. He got hurt feelings. Oh, poor Joe.
Yeah. You got to think about it long and hard.
Yeah, you.
No, actually, I don't. I know what I saw.
Who was the Lakers'
and
second
I just told you. I just gave you some evidence of an actual voter who took ownership over his bad assessments.
Okay, who is the Lakers' second best defender last year?
Who cares?
Well, that's what we're talking about.
I don't see the relevance in an individual award to worry about what another guy's doing.
Okay. Who was the Spurs' second best defender?
Who gives a flying F?
Because you can't name anyone else.
It's not a team award.
But I thought a great defender makes his fellow.
It's not a team award. I don't understand why that's not registering between your two noodle heads. It's an individual award. Do you understand English? Individual. Go look it up.
So if somebody leads the league next year and they're on a 15-win team, Joe is going to immediately give them the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, it is an individual
according to
award, but
Joe's calculations. Yeah.
You finished? I'm done with this conversation.
Because he glossed it. That's why.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. You're out of your goals.
AD for me.
What are you sipping on? Jack Daniel's honey whiskey.
Straight up too. No ice, no nothing. I just felt like I wanted a little taste of the honey.
Nice.
So we've discussed.
More says Sean got
I'm sorry.
We've discussed.
That's the best Jack Daniels around. Better than number 7.
100%. We've discussed the Dan Hurley situation. I'm just going to call it that. We came away with that situation, understanding a little bit more about what happened. Dan confirmed a few things that I think in the end were correct, even before we knew it. Number one being Woj is still a hack, still a bum, at least in my eyes. But maybe you guys might think he's great because maybe he makes his co-writers better or something. I don't know how you guys do your assessments, but the other thing was Dan subtly basically told the whole world what a complete clown show the Lakers are running. If they had given him the right offer, he would have taken it, and it looked like his wife was going to say yes to. So they totally shat the bed there, and that's something they're going to have to, adjust to, but doesn't seem like they've been able to adjust to that, and I don't know how many times they've been denied by players and coaches. And then, of course, leverage, the leverage game. Everybody always likes to talk leverage because that's the easy go-to. There was no leverage. I believe him. He could be lying, but it's not likely. Why would he leverage a university he doesn't have to leverage? You don't think they're going to pay him?
Consciously or unconsciously, it's now provided leverage on his next contract. Or as
it's not leverage when he's already said publicly.
Let me finish. He said it's not leverage, but it has effects. There are residual effects because he does things. He did say he wants certain things fixed around UConn, like more for his assistant coaches, facilities. This allows him now, with this offer from the Lakers, allows him to have more control or power about what he can get improved upon going forward, not even counting on the fact whenever he decides to renegotiate for an extension. So in a way, it did provide leverage on what he wants to do going forward, whether or not he likes to say that it did. It will provide some leverage for his working environment at UConn going forward.
It's already been public that Dan Hurley has said he is interested in possibly coming to the NBA. And obviously, with that information, UConn knows that there could be an opportunity in the future, probably the near future, where he would do that. I would pay attention to New York. New York has Tim Thibodeau at the helms there, and it looks like things are pretty good lately. But like most teams in the NBA, there's usually a shelf life of 4 to 5 years at most, if you're lucky, where that particular coach will start to get tuned out. It's closer to home. The Knicks are being run much better than they've been the last few years than they had been for 20 years previous. So that could be an actual, and of course they have assets to better their team should they do something this offseason and maybe in the next offseason. if Dan is smart, Dan does what Steve Kerr does. He goes to a team on the ascent. And I think New York might be that team in the next year or two.
You think they'll get tired of Tom Thibodeau?
I think there's going to be, whether they're tired or not is not really the word I want to use. It's going to be likely I don't think Tom can take them to the next level. For whatever reason. Too hard on them, too many injuries, whatever. But what you do with Dan Hurley is you do have a better sophisticated offensive mindset. You still get the grit and the charge and the aggressiveness. So why not? And of course, he's a little younger, a little more energy there. Why not? Why not have, and you're talking about guys from Villanova. You know, if you're going to talk about Dan Hurley and then say Jay Wright, and they're kind of cut from the same cloth to some degree, why wouldn't the Villanova boys listen to Dan Hurley at that point? It's just like their boy Jay Wright. So, yeah, I would say Dan Hurley was waiting for the knock my socks off offer. The Lakers came up flaccid. I don't even think they were at half staff, Sean. I think it's just flaccid. I think they saw the hottest chick they ever saw and completely went limp like they usually do.
I think a lot of people are just using the Knicks as a narrative, as a lazy opportunity to once again kind of squirt on the Lakers when they're down. Tom Thibodeau is due a huge extension, and he's going to get it. Worldwide West gave Thibodeau what he asked for, and he took them to one game within the Eastern Conference Finals. They are going to extend him. Now, how much are you going to pay him? Because one thing we know about the Knicks historically, that one thing they do not do that the Lakers and a couple of other teams do, James Dolan really isn't in the business of paying people not to work. So it's unlikely he would let go of Thibodeau while still keeping him on the payroll and having to fork over, either a significant amount more for Dan Hurley. Like, Thibodeau is going to get an extension well within the $12 to $15 million range.
I wanted to just say what Joe's vernacular earlier about getting the girl, in this case, Dan Hurley. Would you liken it to, let's say the girl would have gone home with you if you let's say she was looking for someone to pull up to her next to her in a Lamborghini, and the Lakers pulled up to her next to her with and I'll let you fill in the blank as far as what they pulled up with, maybe a Nissan Maxima or something of that. Just something that's decent, but not quite good enough in this situation.
If you're talking about material things in the analogy or comparison, I should say, sure, you could say they could have offered you could have found out what their favorite vehicle is and had it ready for them.
Well, they needed, no, I'm just saying I was liking it, the money offer. They needed to wow him with money. They needed to
what would have worked, what would have been is a 6-year, $100 million contract. Also, and this is something we may never find out, LeBron would have had to have bought into this, and we don't know if that happened. LeBron not being involved, seeing Dan Hurley, is not good or bad. It's kind of like, okay, well, you guys are going to sign this guy for another 2-3 years. He's going to be a big part of this. Maybe he should be involved a little bit. Maybe he should have been there and said, Coach, I will listen to you even if it hurts. I need to win at least 1 or 2 more championships before I retire. What could have also played into this is a team on the downfall, and they don't have any assets, really good assets. Did he really want to come to a team that he's going to have to get lucky in the draft, get lucky with acquisitions. He's going to need some star player to demand to come to LA in order to get that player. There's not a lot of good players that are going to be available this offseason. At least not good players that are in their prime. Guys are on the downside. I think the only one that might still be a little bit still there is Paul George. And I think he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers if they offer him a good deal, because then he can win there. But, James Harden's kind of a shell of himself. I guess Giannis, we talked about Giannis. Would Giannis demand a trade to LA? Probably not. He'll probably demand a trade to Miami. I think that's what Pat Riley's waiting for, because I think that might happen sometime during the year in Milwaukee. I think Giannis is finally Giannis, even through all the stuff Milwaukee did. And I don't know what's going on in Milwaukee, but it seemed like they tried to do their best to accommodate Giannis. They gave him the Supermax. They went and got him a second star. They got rid of the coach to get a new coach to figure out what the hell was going on there. Like, they're trying at least, but they're not good enough at fixing the problem. And that happens sometimes. Trying is not good enough. It's not, especially when you have an all-time great in his prime that wants to win, and you can't really manage whatever's going on over there.
Well, unfortunately, Joe, we thought that 2025 would be the big year for NBA free agency, but a lot of the players who were slated to be on the open market have either re-upped or are about to re-up. So this year is slim pickings, and 2025 is the year of number twos. There's no real number one on the market, because the hated Greenies are a game away from hoisting the 18th championship, and Jason Tatum's going to get a big fat re-up.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for anyone to deny a Superman.
Jalen Brunson is going to re-up with the Knicks. Spider Mitchell isn't what he used to be, and he was a number 2 to begin with.
Wow, you don't think Spider Mitchell can be a number 1?
Not in this universe.
He can be a number 1 in Cleveland.
Wow.
But I don't know if that means anything.
I think him and AD would pair nicely. And with LeBron as a number 3 in this situation, I think that would be actually a pretty good triumvirate.
Well, how differently would you view the team? Are we contenders?
With AD, LeBron, and Spider, and yeah, I think you can build a well, Rob, who knows? You're always rolling the dice, because Rob is,
and it's not GM. Like I'm dissing him either. He's a number 2. You know how really, really good you have to be a number 2 in the NBA. You have to be really, really good, and he's really, really good.
I think he can play at that level for you, and like in the playoffs. Let's say they were facing the Boston Celtics. I think you can ask him, and he has shown in the playoffs that he steps his game up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got 2 50-point games in the playoffs. Yeah,
so he can't play at that level for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's just say your team would be better if Spider was on your team than off it. Can I leave it at that?
Why would Cleveland trade Mitchell?
Only because they won't give him he won't take the extension offer that they have.
But then he's going to be there for another year though.
Well, they also have to extend Evan Mobley at some point too, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're paying Jared Allen over $100 million.
You're going to really get rid of a young stud like Darius Garland? You're going to give up on him?
Well, here's the thing. That team is run by functioning morons. Functioning morons.
Sounds like somebody we know.
You took the words right out of my mouth, but there it is. Yeah, look, I've said this before. I'll say it again, and it bears repeating, because no one gives a royal you know what. So Dan Gilbert suffered a life-altering stroke a few years ago. Life-altering. He can't run his businesses anymore. He hasn't been at a Cleveland Cavaliers home game in a really long time. I think it's been over 2 years now. His son, of God rest his soul, Nick, passed away. His one of his sons. His other son is running the franchise, and Joe, that's who I calling the functioning moron.
Some
You
guys
got
are
you got two dimwits of sons running franchises in the NBA. Two. You got one in Atlanta and one in Cleveland. And it's kind of funny how both of those franchises' star players have been linked to the Lakers. Why? Because when you see a pigeon, you take advantage of the pigeon. And right now, Cleveland and Atlanta are run by pigeons.
So can we call Rob Pelinka Rob Pigeon?
If you want to, he kind of is a pigeon.
Kind of looks like one too, doesn't he? Kind of that wiry,
Yeah.
skinny nose
Oh,
face.
now when we're talking about
It looks
it,
like he
yeah,
has. It looks
he
like he's
kinda
on
does-
a
yeah, it does-
intermediate. His intermediate fasting is 14 days
yeah,
every month.
It does look like one of those pesky birds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as Rob Pelinka's running the team, I don't think we could make any safe bets, no matter who we get as a third guy or whatnot, that Rob can build a championship level team around them. I don't have that faith in him, to be honest with you. And then, but there is something that has to be done in Cleveland and Atlanta, because they've got guys, both have backcourts that get great stats, but ultimately, for one reason or another, just don't work well enough together to get them to a better place.
This needs to be bad before it gets good, maybe.
Oh, but I just got an email from Sean, kind of disagreeing with us, as many disagree with us, that's saying that you can't blow up the team like Stone wants. I understand the Lakers won't do that, and I understand that, Joe, your frustrations, you would never want them to go back to a Robert Sacre type era. OKC is probably the best case scenario, where they were a playoff team in the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went all out. They sold out, got all those assets, but they did it in a quick amount of time. And look at them 4 years later, they're number one in the Western Conference. I understand that's the best case scenario. So it's easy for us to say, okay, well, let's just blow it up in 4 years. If we have a good GM, we can do that again. But look who is running the ship. And I think that's part of your problem right there. That's a big part of your problem going forward.
There's going to be a clear vision here, if you can call it that, by let's say by the end of July. So we're looking at, in the next 6 weeks, Laker fans are going to really understand where the Lakers stand, not only for next year, but also 2 and 3 years after that. Everything has to go perfect. We have to be shocked by whomever the coach is that they get. We have to be completely shocked that that person ends up being a really, really good coach. The Lakers have to somehow draft someone at 17 that is shockingly good. You have to pick up someone in free agency for the mid-level exception that's shockingly better than they thought that he would be. If they don't keep the draft pick and they end up trading some of those assets and they get let's say not even a third star, let's just say a very good player that really complements the 2 stars, somebody like a Drew Holiday type. Not saying Drew Holiday type as in that kind of player or him. I'm talking someone with the impact that he's given the Celtics, someone like that. Because if the Lakers had that third guy, the Lakers might have beaten Denver. They might have beaten Denver the year before too. I mean, you still have Darvin Ham calling the shots, but then again, we're not going to be able to use that anymore. If we start seeing the same stuff with this next coach, then players are going to have to start taking more of the blame. Then that's how that's going to go. So you guys are emailing while the show's going on. What are you guys talking about?
Well, with Sean Harder, big shout out to you. He's talking about, things that we've said, that I've said, Stone said about, the LeBron factor, because he has a different opinion on the LeBron factor, and some of it's for monetary reasons, and I could clearly understand them. But the fact that you and I and Stone are kind of leaning away with LeBron, maybe finding a different path somewhere else because of potentially him being and the ability to sign a 3-year 160. And I know he harkens back to the conversation that I always talk about with LeBron and Jeannie and Linda Rambis getting all together for that one night. I saw them they're all together, and it just shows he has all the control coming into the offseason. And the reality is we could see the end of the season here within a matter of 24 hours. I think that needs to come to grips to everyone, that the end of the season literally could come this time tomorrow. And if that's the case, everything there starts to go in motion. The Lakers can immediately offer or ask LeBron if he's going to pick up the final year on his contract or start to work on an extension before he even hits free agency on July 1st.
When they beat us in Game 6, that was on a Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty Joe.
Game 6 or Game 5?
Well, yeah, when they beat us in Game 6, that was on a Tuesday, right?
What series was this?
What series?
Yeah, the 08 finals.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this year.
Yeah, that was a Tuesday, right?
I guess so.
Yeah, it was.
The fact that you would have that calendar mind. Hey, Apple just added a calendar app. There you go.
Yeah, so Father's Day weekend is coming up, and that's how it's going to start out. Brutal. Just brutal.
Yeah, absolutely. My mother had a stroke last year, and yeah, definitely. She is on watch for something like that to happen to continue. So yeah,
I have a interesting tidbit here.
You don't play with those.
I have an interesting tidbit here, guys.
A tidbit? You have a tidbit?
I have a tidbit.
A tidbit.
So we've been giving the Lakers
a kernel. You have a kernel.
I have a fist too. You want to see that? We've been giving credit to the Bus Boys for their scouting. Correct?
On the occasion, I've not been as high because of this latest draft.
Joe has a morsel of wisdom.
They do have a lot. They have created a lot of
yes
players.
Or no is enough right now. I've done some research today, so
okay,
work with me here.
There's a lot of rotation players in the league, so yeah.
Gerald doesn't think so. Really, it's overrated from what he was telling us.
I think I just said there was a lot of rotation. You just said,
Sean.
An answer, yes.
Joe, your eyes are rolling in the back of your head.
Sean, would you agree? Disagree? You're welcome, son.
A lot of NBA rotation players in the league came.
I got an interesting timeline.
It's the pool is getting shallower.
I got an interesting timeline, and tell me if I'm wrong. I want to know if I'm looking at this differently. I'm not in El Segundo. None of us are, right? But maybe you guys know more than me. When did Ryan West get let go?
Ooh, good question.
I think
now you finally bring up a good question. Took us an hour and
around. Ooh,
I'll tell you when.
Gosh.
It was July 28th, 2019.
Oh, okay.
You ready for this? I'm going to name the draft picks after he was let go. Jaden McDaniels, traded in the Washington deal. Mm-hmm. Isaiah Jackson, Indiana. Mm-hmm. Max Christie. Mm-hmm. They drafted Mojave King last year, but then, of course, we saw with how that came about with Mr. Maxwell Lewis, and then Jalen Hood-Schifino. I don't count DeAndre Hunter in 2019 because I guess Ryan was there for that.
It's a lot of junk. That's a lot of junk.
So
it's a lot of junk.
I'm asking you guys this, and I'm asking our chat room patrons.
It's a lot of junk.
Who was really responsible for those out-of-box picks?
Well, Palinka's name is on the marquee, so you'd have to conclude that ultimately the responsibility.
But Ryan was there before Palinka came in 18, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the picks before then. Granted, some of these were the high picks, but let's look at it as a whole. They drafted in 2018 Moritz Wagner. Would you guys say that he's a solid NBA rotational player?
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay, Svi was the second round pick that year. He sucked. So
well, he's Joe. He sucked us so bad. He's about ready to get a world championship.
Yeah,
he's going to get a ring here in about.
But he's getting a ring with sitting on his thumb.
Adam Morrison has 2 rings too, Gerald.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
The year before that, Lonzo Ball. Whose decision was it to get Lonzo Ball? I say it was Magic. So I don't know if I can blame scouting on that one. Then Brandon Ingram. And when you look at that particular draft, we all know how bad that one went because the best player of that draft was Mr. Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
They also got Zubac in 2016 in the second round. What happened there? 2015, they drafted D'Angelo Russell, who in my book was probably the right pick at number 2. They got Larry Nance, which I think is still a good rotational player late in the first. They also drafted Anthony Brown, who fizzled out. 2014, you had Julius Randle at 7, which I thought was a really good pick at 7, and still is a good pick at 7. And then in between those draft picks, you've gotten Alex Caruso and Austin Reeves as free agents.
Undrafted free agents, yes.
Undrafted free agents. So I'm wondering who was really pulling the strings there, who was really advising, who was really doing the scouting work. I'm not trying to discredit the bus boys, but who really had the final kind of, hey, man, you're going to want to get this guy say. Because since Ryan West got fired in 2019, the Lakers have been terrible at drafting.
Can I ask you a favor, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
Could you look up the draft picks for the Golden State Warriors as long as Johnny West has been on that team?
Johnny West?
The brother.
Johnny West is playing. He's with he was with his pops?
Yeah, he was with Golden State. I don't know if he's still with Golden State right now, but
draft picks by year.
He was an executive with I think he still is with Golden State, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, let's look at the Golden State picks.
And he's married to Michelle Wee. Yeah.
So when did he arrive there?
Oh, the golfer?
Yes, the golfer.
When did he arrive there?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have to look that up.
So let's say he arrived there around 2015. They got Kevon Looney, which was a good player.
So Michelle Wee is the most attractive female golfer.
Look at it started with the magic. He's looking. That's all I can focus on. Well, so Michelle Wee.
Yeah, definitely. I would say she's a little notch above Brooke Henderson.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I will have to agree with you on that one. Yep, she won one major. Hey, that's one more major than I won. That's for sure. So
best
you see me. If you ever see me golf, you understand why I don't play it anymore.
Did Anna Kournikova win any majors in tennis?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ryan was with the Pistons now since he got dissed by the Lakers. That fallout. That was, I think, part of the fallout from what Jerry West and obviously the lifetime seats and that whole thing that pisses us off to this day. But Johnny West, I'm looking up how long he's been with the Golden State Warriors.
What is this? What does it say?
I just see when he was promoted to scouting.
Eric says Johnny West is on his 9th season in Golden.
Oh, he joined the front office in 2018.
Okay, so 2018, they drafted Jacob Evans. No, they got Jordan Poole the following year. Eric Pascal.
Out of the league now.
Yeah. And then some other guy from Yale. Is it Maya Oni? I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Oni.
Yeah, Onye. He came out of Yale, so I'm assuming that didn't work out. 2020 absolutely ruined. They came up just
Wiseman and who else?
Mannion and Jessup, all goose eggs.
0 for 3.
Yeah. They got Kuminga in 2021, not a bad role player, but then
Moody.
Moses Moody, sure. I'd say sort of. And then 2022, Patrick Baldwin, Tyrese Martin, which I think went to Atlanta.
Baldwin that got traded to
Yeah.
In the pool trade.
They made up a little ground with Podzieski, but
and Trace Jackson Davis. That's a solid
TJ
second-round pick.
Yeah.
TJD,
but they
So it's like mixed. It's like mixed. So.
Their drafting wasn't very good either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Lakers were probably better earlier.
What success rate do you give percentage-wise for NBA draft picks?
That's a mixed bag, Eric. I agree.
Say around 25 to 33%.
It just depends on where.
1 to 3, 1 out of 4 every 2 years. If you hit on 1 every 2 years, I would say you got a pretty decent success rate.
Depends on where you're hitting.
Well, most guys don't pan out anyway.
So Johnny West is now the director of pro scouting for the Warriors, from what I'm seeing. I believe that's correct. So.
Really?
So he's moving up in the world. So,
well, Golden State is trapped in the Bermuda Triangle of both salary cap, veterans, and where did Gerald go and complain about his piece of pizza?
No, I thought I was going to sneeze. I didn't want to do it on camera, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I guess we could
You
talk
interrupted me.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I'm just trying to show etiquette so that you don't, like in the middle of your analogy, Sean, that you don't hear like,
thank you, Gerald. Yes, you showed more class and manners than Joseph.
You guys want a room so you guys can grab
what
each
did
other's.
you just call him?
Why don't you have a little manners?
Manners.
Were you born
I'm not the one who's sneezing on camera.
Were you born in a barn?
I was trying not.
When the hell
to
did I sneeze on camera?
Were you born in a barn?
No, I was born in a hospital.
So was I.
Anyways, speaking of draft, Joe, we had a great conversation earlier today with Alfred Esmond on NBA observations earlier today. And I thank you guys. Thank you, Joe, for being part of that. That was a good conversation. I love the points that you brought out. Later on this month, we're going to be doing our own mock draft. Can't wait. Magic, man. I don't know which teams are going to be running, and we're going to try to solidify that here in the coming days as far as the teams you're going to be picking for. Joe will provide analysis as only he can. Stone will be there to provide analysis as well. So for whatever teams that you are going to be selecting for, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But a name that you're going to be, if you're getting closer and closer to the lottery, might be Terrence Shannon Jr., who was found innocent today on the rape charges. So he is free and clear and is going to start working out for teams as early as Friday. So he was like, I think going in the low 20s he was somebody that actually was up in the top 10 at one point in time. So I've seen him. He is probably one of the best players in this draft. And now that this is freed up, what do you guys think he's going to go back up? Do you think, Joe, Sean? You don't think he's going to go back up?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Joe, it's interesting. Why would you say that?
Because most corporate companies are prisoners of the moment, and they will try to stay away from him due to the PR issue.
Miles Bridges?
I believe that the reason why the Miles Bridges thing was a little different was because Charlotte has no one, and they they needed someone to play that could play, and that Bridges is that guy.
They do need a warm body of some type there.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, Charlotte should not have a team.
So you don't think when the Lakers pick at 17, they'll even give him a sniff?
Not in a billion years.
Joe, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. Why would you say that, considering Brandon Miller was involved in actual murder in Alabama and was still taken number 2 overall in the draft?
Where he had the gun, had
Charlotte
possession of the gun.
Hornets.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because I would have guaranteed you that they would have, if the Lakers had that pick, they would have picked Scoot Henderson.
Okay, well, somebody else in a similar position would have taken Brandon Miller number 2. Brandon Miller was going 2, 3, or 4 in that draft, Joe. Correct me if I'm wrong, Gerald.
You're not wrong in doing.
Cam Whitmore.
You're not wrong.
You said Brandon Miller was, because of his involvement, Joe, with the gun, where he had the gun, possession of the gun, gave the gun, that ultimately led to the murder. His involvement in it. Yeah, that's pretty sketchy.
You're not wrong.
Itself.
It's a matter of who we're talking about.
But Cam Whitmore went down because he had some bad interviews, right, Joe? I think, or
bad interviews, and they were worried about debilitating injuries. And I think somebody talked smack at Villanova, the bottom, and that worried him. And Jay Wright didn't exactly endorse him. I don't know if that was just overlooked, that was over-exaggerated or exaggerated, but yeah. I'm not saying you're wrong, Sean. If his talent says this is where he needs to be, I think a smart GM would pick him. I'm in the boat of there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on, and there's a lot of people getting extorted, and it's still not enough. People don't pay attention to that stuff. They're more worried about their PR, which is unfortunate. A lot of innocent people get screwed here, and it looks like the courts said that he was innocent. Well, the court said he's innocent. So in my book, with the limited information that I have, if any, I have to go by what they did because I don't have any information. So for me, if I'm drafting and he's the best player available, I'm picking him if he's the best player available at 17. But I don't believe the Lakers are going to touch him if he's there and he's the best player available because of it.
I mean, if he is
what happened to the punter at San Diego State?
Yeah,
Matt Araiza.
And Matt, I don't know Matt, but I know that campus. I know a little bit of what's going on there. I don't know anything about what happened at the party. I don't know anyone that was at the party. I don't know any professors that saw something in and around that time. But I am an alumni there, and I did hear in the end, and of course it came out later, he wasn't even at the party. He was not at the party. How does that happen? How does that happen? So
even though he has been found totally innocent,
and he got destroyed. He got cut. No one looked at him. No one even thought they wanted him to be alive. Of course, best coach on the planet right now did acquire him in Kansas City. I hope he succeeds. I hope he kicks. I hope he averages 50 yards a kick.
I don't think he'll make it to 17. I think his stock will rise up because there are teams like Portland and San Antonio that have 2 picks each in the first 15 picks that can take a chance on him.
Hey, you know what, Sean and Gerald, in this draft, somebody's going to pick him up.
Somebody's going to take him.
Look, he's innocent, so we need talent. There's hardly any talent in this. We talked about this on the show earlier today, Gerald. We had how do you pronounce his name? The French guy?
Oh, Richeche,
right? So Zachary Richeche, right? Is it Zachary?
Zachary Richeche.
Zachary Richeche.
So Zachary Richeche. You know what his comp was, folks? I know Gerald knows.
Yep.
Harrison Barnes.
Ison,
that's
that
your
was
number 1 pick, at least on the Bleacher Report.
That's a good question. We touched on this, Joe. Would you trade the 17th pick along with Rui for the third pick in the draft? I would too.
Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But they're not taking that deal. Hell no.
As much as we like Rui,
you have to give
comes
all
off 42%. He's just not consistent enough over the course of his career. I'm not talking about shooting anymore because obviously he can't shoot regularly. He's just his output. Whether it's because the Lakers don't draw enough plays for him to succeed and be a consistent scorer. You saw in the playoffs, he wasn't given enough touches. So if he's not going to be that vital for you
he didn't get a lot of touches because he kept missing gimmies.
Yeah. And that's another thing. Again, consistency. So yeah, I would definitely trade him and the 17 for number 3. Magic, would you do the same?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Cool, bro. Why would you ask that question? My son is a dentist. You should brush your teeth after every meal and do what Joe does. I pick on Joe for a lot, but what do you have right near you, Joe? Flossers. Yeah, cool, bro. If you ever want to get a date, brush your teeth as much as you can. I'm going to say that.
I'm going to have a little drink.
That's free. Yeah. On that note, I think, you know what, Joe, if I was there, I'd probably, and I don't drink, I would probably be drinking with you right now after that, because that's just cool, bro, man. Dude, trust me, dental hygiene as early as you can. See, there you go.
There is no fake teeth here, by the way.
No.
And I've eaten a lot of sugar in my time too.
That's good. Is vodka a good mouthwash?
No.
It is alcohol.
No, vodka is a good drink with Red Bull.
I don't know if vodka is a good mouthwash. Cool, bro. All I can say,
Tito's vodka is really good with a really good Bloody Mary mix and really good olives.
Alcohol used to be a big part of mouthwashes. Now most of them advertise that they're non-alcoholic.
Yeah, because weirdos started drinking it.
Yeah. After they, of course, popped the the pods. The Tide detergent pods, that's good. That looks chewy. I think I'm going to go ahead and eat it. It's like, really?
So
we're heading into idiocracy.
Thanks for derailing Thanks for derailing the entire show, cool bro.
You were doing so well.
You were doing so well. Now we have to go back to ignoring you again. So, Sean, we've been at this for a few days now in terms of the next subject, which will be the last subject, and it could be the last subject we talk about on the show. so because it was your idea,
yes,
it was your idea. I can't deny that. And the Olympics are coming up.
Don't deny you wanted to talk about
Absolutely,
it too.
but you said it first.
For me,
I give credit where credit is due. You mentioned it first. Yep. Yes, I had thought about
that bus. He's driving that bus. He sees me lying on the highway, and he's just driving that bus.
Yes. So,
I'm just kidding.
Let's give Gerald a heart attack in the next 30 minutes.
Oh, please don't.
It'll be the first time.
We're gonna slide into the WNBA and the issues that they've been having. Would you say they're issues actually?
Yes.
Maybe growing pains.
Bad publicity is good publicity because no one was talking about the WNBA 4 months ago, right? 3 months ago, 2 months ago.
Or there was still buzz.
I still haven't watched a full WNBA game since the last game when the Sparks won back-to-back championships in 2001. And I had discussed the WNBA with one of my best friends who was a huge Kobe fan, and we discussed 6 months before Kobe and Gigi passed away.
You were just shortly out of university at that time, were you not?
Yeah, I was just a year before I was getting out. And I was cheering for the Sparks. It was kind of cool. The Lakers won a championship at the new arena. The Sparks won a championship at the new arena. They won back-to-back at the new arena. The Lakers three-peated. I wanted the Sparks to...
Well, at that time, Lisa Leslie was the best player in the WNBA.
Yes, correct. I think the Avengers, there was a soccer team. No, I'm sorry, indoor football team that won their league title at the time. They've now been defunct, I should say. And then, of course, when the downtimes came in the tens, we were fortunate enough to watch the Kings put a couple banners up. No Clippers stuff. Even Taylor Swift got a banner up there, but no Clippers banners. So, going back to the subject at hand, we're going to discuss a little bit of the WNBA and a little bit of the Olympics. Sean, okay, here we go. Rough Artist just laid it out for us. Thank you, Rough Artist. I'm going to bring this up. Gerald can't get mad at us because we're not the ones that brought it up. I hear the problem with the WNBA is if you ain't lesbian, you're hated.
Oh, here we go.
Didn't we, Sean? Are these not our people? Are these not our people? We just said WNBA, and then we kind of veered off into something else, and boom, they knew exactly what was coming. But I'll keep it. I'll keep it good.
Keep it within the lines.
Gerald thinks that Caitlyn Clark hasn't earned a spot on the Olympics. So I ask you this.
Me?
I'm asking you, Sean Grice.
Yes, sir.
Is that true? And number two, does it matter?
I'll answer the last question first. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In 1984, a rookie named Michael Jordan was put on the men's Olympic basketball team. Correct, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
In 2004, a rookie named LeBron Ramon James was put on the men's U.S. Olympic roster. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have the transformational rookie for a sport in a league that is been crippling for somebody like this, and you want the most eyeballs you can have on this transformational star. And as an organization, the Women's U.S. Basketball Committee decided that no, Caitlyn Clark will not be on the team because your reasoning is that it'd be, and I'm using Jen Rosati's words, her own words, she said irresponsible. It would be irresponsible to put Caitlyn Clark on the women's basketball team by being the 11th or 12th player on that team. Nobody was expecting Caitlyn Clark to play much in the Olympics at all.
I just don't think she's earned the spot yet. I just think when you're right
Did
now,
Michael
because take a look
Jordan-
at her stats. Well, hold on. Let me
Oh,
finish.
you
Let me
know
finish.
what? Okay.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah.
16 points a game, 7 turnovers a game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5.4 turnovers a game. She had
For the
7
love of
turnovers
God,
a game.
people, can you spell her name right? You have like 4 different spellings for Caitlyn. It starts with a C.
CAITLIN.
She's shooting 37% from the field. As far as if her name wasn't Caitlyn Clark and got all the attention, got all the ratings, etc., you would not put this player or have her on the team. But
Gerald,
hold on,
okay.
Sean, let me finish. You're putting her on the team simply because she gets
hate
ratings.
flow through you.
She's getting ratings. That's all you're putting on her.
Focus.
She's not one of the 12 best players right now in the league. Is not.
Brittany Griner one of the 12 best players in the WNBA, Gerald?
No, and you're right. They do base things off legacy. I mean, why we still have how many old players?
Diana Taurasi
on the U.S. men's team. How many old NBA players, legacy players?
We don't need to see Kawhi Leonard on this USA basketball team. Correct.
I mean, people would argue against LeBron James being.
And look, I mean, the second leading scorer.
I didn't say I would. I just said people would.
The second leading scorer in the WNBA has been left off the team. Ogun Bolawale from the Dallas Wings. She's not on the team. Angel Reese isn't on the team. Caitlyn Clark isn't on the team. And Gerald, to answer Joe's question, the first part, yeah, she should be on the team because you're trying to build up women's basketball and participation in the WNBA, and essentially that's what the Olympics are. It's an advertisement for the WNBA because they don't put amateur athletes on this team anymore.
Well, you're putting it together. You're putting her on that team strictly for business reasons, and I can
Yes,
understand. I respect that answer. I
Yes.
have full respect to that answer. That's again, it's a business team. It's a business decision that you're making. I get that. I understand that. But if you're talking about, is she one of the 12 best players right now in America for Team USA? I would say no, because will she get there? Absolutely. She has all the signs that she's going to get better to the point. But right now, take a look at tonight's game, for instance. Let's go ahead and take a. What were her stats from tonight's game? 3 of 11, 7 turnovers.
They won.
Because someone else had a great game in order to go ahead and offset her game.
She talks about her teammates more than she talks about herself,
and that's great. Absolutely.
Well,
fantastic.
Gerald, isn't that somebody you want on the Olympic team? But wait a minute, Gerald. Brittany Griner talks about herself. Diana Taurasi talks about herself. All these other women make it about them. And Caitlyn Clark is the one talking about the team, making the team better.
Well, Angel Reese, I know a lot of people have issue with her, but I kind of like the moxie that she has, the confidence that she has. I like the fact that she reminds me a lot of as far as the way she talks about the way Charles Barkley spoke about himself back in the day, as far as with a little bit of arrogance and stuff. And as far as that's concerned.
All right.
But you're talking about purely business reasons. Not once have you mentioned.
And they're dummies. They're dummies for doing this.
But you're not talking. Well, again, they're not appealing to themselves, to the masses, and I get that. I understand that you're right. It's not for business reasons. Sure, put Caitlyn Clark on the team. And Joe has that goofy look on his face this whole time. But anyways,
because again, he's smirking because he has the exact same opinion.
Well, that's good for business reasons. Majority. That's fine. Put her on there. But you've not once mentioned or defended the fact that she has not played well enough basketball-wise to be on that team.
So, Gerald, Michael Jordan didn't play one NBA game yet before he was put on the U.S. men's Olympic roster.
Well, they put Christian Laettner on that team. Was he one of the 12 best players in America?
Well, I'm talking 1984.
I'm talking 92. I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm talking about 1984.
You're talking about
when he was. Yes,
when he was, because he was on as far as the Dream Team. The Dream Team.
He was on 92. The 84 Olympic team. Gerald.
Yeah, who?
He hadn't played. Yeah, Michael Jordan.
I'm talking about Christian Laettner on the 92 team.
Why are you changing the subject?
Because you're. Because that's who I thought you were discussing as far as
not
somebody that was shoehorned onto a team such as Christian Laettner was onto the 92 team.
Joe, when I opened this conversation, I talked about Jordan being on the 84 Olympic team, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And I talked about
again,
LeBron being on the 04 Olympic team,
but
correct?
Not once have you based anything that you said on her merit right now and the way she's playing as a basketball player.
Would you have put LeBron James, Gerald? Would you have put LeBron James on the U.S. men's Olympic roster in 2004? Yes or no?
At that time, yeah, his stats were better. At that time, he was playing at a level.
He won Rookie of the Year, and Caitlyn Clark is going to win Rookie of the Year. But you would have put LeBron on the team. She's going to win. She's going to win Rookie of the Year, Gerald.
Well, she's going to win the Rookie of the Year, partly because of who she is and the popularity she has.
Gerald, did she not?
You guys just ended that. You guys just had we had a half an hour discussion on the voter.
Did she not just tie the record for most threes made by a rookie in WNBA history? Well, she had 7 in one game.
She's making only 1/3 of them.
Okay, so
she's shooting
what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen? Is there a narrative, and it's going one way, and that's why Joe's laughing about it, because Caitlyn Clark should be given.
Business. You're looking at it as a business sense. I said I respect that.
Correct.
You did. I think you did not hear me when I said I respected your.
No, I heard that.
It's clear that Team USA and the USA women's basketball does not want to adhere to that. Maybe it's
Gerald. I think the bigger
and they
story,
obviously didn't cave to NBC Universal.
right? And Gerald, the bigger point here is that the WNBA and US women's basketball don't know how to market their stars.
Oh, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with you on that. You're just asking me, did I think she deserves to be on the team? And I said,
Gerald,
talking about playing merit,
Gerald,
I'd say no.
So Gerald, before Caitlyn Clark came into the WNBA, do you know where the Washington Mystics have played their games? Can you name the arena? I had to look it up. Can you name it? They played in something called the Entertainment and Sports Arena that houses 4,200. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
About business.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
The original question was, does she deserve to be?
Let's not talk about business for an NBA, a league that
needs
to be subsidized
money
by another league.
Yeah.
At no time.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
At no time have you said.
Gerald lives in Gerald land. I keep telling you guys this. There's a land.
I'm going to kick you out.
Gerald lives.
There goes Joe. Bye, Joe. Kick. I'm going to kick him out. No, I don't want to kick. I won't kick him out.
This is Gerald land.
You're not basing it on
everybody else is over here.
Sean, you're not basing it. No, if everybody else is over there, she would be on the team.
It's fair, Gerald. It's fair. I'm not basing it on her current play.
Got proven wrong. So again, right there tells you if you're not basing it on playing ability, you're not placing on her playing ability as of right now. You're basing it on dollars and cents and what makes the most.
You could also make the same argument that Michael Jordan wasn't one of the best 12 NBA players in the world in 1984. You could also make the same argument LeBron James wasn't one of the 13 to 15 best players in the world. The fact of the matter is they were both put on the team for one reason and one reason alone, ladies and gentlemen, and that's for these eyeballs. The more eyeballs you have on your product, Joe, you're a successful businessman. If you have more eyeballs on your business, are you prone to being more successful? Yes or no?
Again, you're saying business, but you've never once mentioned as far as her deserving it on playing merit.
But Gerald, the bigger point here is that
it's business. It's a business.
It's business. And Gerald, why do you think that the WNBA and the women's basketball organization have a problem with marketing Caitlyn Clark not business related? Why do you think that's a problem?
As far as they just don't. Again, there's a lot of issues on that.
Is there jealousy involved? Do you think?
Oh, there's a lot of things that are in play. It's obviously we're seeing right now with the Caitlyn Clark race issue being brought up. Again, she's providing controversy. She's providing interest in the league, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes down to it, she's not playing at a level that constitutes the 12 best players in America at this point. But I can see your point as far as from a monetary and business standpoint and standpoint, that's why you'd be doing it. But then again, Team USA, hold on. Let's say they use your argument and Team USA puts her on the team. Then they would get roasted for the next few months for saying they sold out.
So you guys are not great.
You guys don't even think well enough.
One of our great subs just made a great point. Maybe the Olympic team doesn't want her on the team.
Oh, that's probably the case. There's probably a lot of
So who's the Michael Jordan of this WNBA Olympic team?
Caitlyn Clark has a lot of I guess detractors that she has as far as
actually Joe.
Other players, obviously the U.S. Olympic team
they are in a weird place because a lot of their great players are 30 and over.
Now, 4 years, I fully expect her.
If you were to say who is the best WNBA player in her prime right now, it would be Sabrina Ionescu, and nobody would ever claim that Sabrina Ionescu could sell out the Capitol Place in Washington where the Capitals and Wizards play.
And you're
But
just looking at it from a
Caitlyn
business
Clark
aspect.
does.
You're looking at it from a business, and I can understand it. You're looking from a business aspect. That's fine. That's credible. That's all you're getting. That's all you're not looking at from the playing standpoint and from a playing
and
merit
it's about
standpoint.
merit.
Yep. And Joe's there looking like a goofball. And I can tell you right now, when it comes to
It's my show, man. You can't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's true.
I just did.
I've been clowning you all day. I've been clowning you all night, so I guess
I've been clowning you the whole
only way
night.
to get out.
I'm in the results business, but I don't care about the results. My name is Joe Soro.
No, you said that. I never said that.
Your
definition of results.
You said that.
Your definition of results.
If they win 22 games in a
likely
season,
the best player on the U.S.
Stupid.
women's basketball roster is Asia Wilson.
By far, she's playing tremendously, even on a team that's
so
like 500
she would be the but see again. I'm just gonna go back to this because it's from Gerald's hometown. Asia Wilson couldn't get a whole arena moved to T-Mobile, but Caitlyn Clark did.
Yeah, and I have Caitlyn, and gosh, no reason to watch the Olympics if Clark is not on the team. You guys say that now, I'm probably right. The ratings would be a lot better with Caitlyn Clark on that team. I get it, because you're talking about business standpoint. I never said otherwise, but if you're putting her on that team, it's because you're doing it for dollars and cents. That's all you're doing it for. You're not doing it because she's one of the 12 best players right now. Now, in 4 years, do I expect her to be one of the best players in the league? Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
You know what, Pale Fox? That's just not true. I've got to say, you're Joe and
I are going to play war now.
Yeah,
because we both have control.
You're wrong about that. I mean, there's a lot of people that care about the Olympics. This is the first time in Canada's long Drek history of international basketball where they have a chance to be at the podium at the 2024 Paris Olympics. So, I mean, speak for yourself. I know to you, it's, to you and a lot of other people, it's just, the U.S. men's team is going to win gold or silver and la-di-da, who cares? Other countries care about this, Pale Fox. It matters and to be frank, sir, I mean, a lot of international players really couldn't care dick about, excuse my language there, Daryl, couldn't care less about winning an NBA championship. But if Team Germany wins the FIBA championship, Dennis Schroeder, Mo Wagner, Franz Wagner don't never have to buy a beer or a steak in Germany ever again. So, you also have to take into consideration the international community and how that's going to affect this as well, because the Parisian media is a big factor, and they're going to pepper, and I use that word loosely, pepper the women's organization, including Jen Rosati, and I'm calling you out, Rosati, because your head is up your you-know-what by making this decision. They're going to pepper you with questions about why you really left Caitlyn Clark off the roster. And let me tell you something. The Parisian media, a lot harsher than the American media, who protect you from what's really going on, because
they're willing. In fact, there was, remember a few years ago, one of the political cartoon writers was killed. Just somebody went in there, shot, killed. They're willing to go all out as far as their opinions on that is concerned. But yeah, again, it's a business decision, and I could understand why you guys would support that. I'm just telling you based on what she's playing right now. I just don't think she is. But again, if you do it, it's fine. Like you said, if you want to see her sitting on the bench for, against whoever, well, I'm sure in the early games she would get lots of playing time because, like the Dream Team, they would be blowing people out. So yeah, I could get a lot of eyes. I could see, yeah, if you're just doing it for ratings, absolutely. For money, absolutely. And do I fully expect her to be in 4 years one of the best players in the league and one of the best representatives for Team USA? Absolutely. I think her game right now is she just, again, a rookie coming in, a lot of issues, a lot of problems she needs to work out. But once she gets to a point where she can work on her game, you're going to see the turnovers go down. You're going to see the shooting efficiency go up. And I think you'll see a lot better player for her going forward. I think she does have the tools. I don't think she's going to be a 16-point a game, 5 turnover, 37% shooter forever. I think it's going to be something where she's taking her bumps, literally and figuratively, and she's going to be coming back stronger eventually. I'm not trying to diss her in any way. I'm just saying that right now, if you told me that if she one of the 12 best players in America, I would probably say she's 13th, 14th, 15th in that range, but not quite yet.
Okay,
but with all the eyes on her, but as a business decision, I could see you doing it. I wouldn't have any problems. The problem is the pushback from that would be exactly what was said.
Sure, and I'll get called a misogynist and all kinds of stuff for just having a basic opinion about that. Meanwhile, when somebody like me,
because you're just seeing you shouldn't, because you're seeing something from a business sense.
I know, but you know how it works, Gerald. Whenever there's kind of this,
shouldn't be. I would support.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that because I think it's, like this was the first time, probably like Joe was saying, Gerald, probably since around like 01, 04, when the WNBA was finally starting to pique people's interests and more eyeballs on the sport, the better it is for everybody. But it seems like there's just, from a business perspective, I frugally, functionally, frenetically do not understand why they are constantly tripping over themselves because you have a star that is utterly, completely marketable. Is there anything not to like about Caitlyn Clark?
No,
from the Midwest, seems like a very nice person.
She's been nothing but, like you said, supportive of her teammates. She says do the right thing. I think the only thing was that not her. It's just the commercial that was made. What was it? Allstate or State Farm that made the commercial about her. The only thing, they made the commercial about her, how wonderful she was in her college career, whatnot.
Right.
And the fact is, she didn't even win the title. What does that say when she is getting all the pub and she did win the national championship 2 years?
Gerald, that's corporate
America. It's corporate. It's just how you push. Yeah.
Like she says, I can only control what I can control.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, she's been nothing but a good representative of the game. She's not said or done anything that in any way constitutes
that. So. Joe, chime in here.
Oh, you can.
Joe, chime in here.
Go ahead.
That got old like the second time.
Joe, chime in.
Not to me.
Man, the amount of BS that you guys just spewed. Guys, have you done any research on the WNBA in the last year?
Revenue-wise? I did.
I'm gonna bring up an NBC article, and I want you guys to assess with your own acumen what this means. So apparently, the WNBA made somewhere between 180 to 100. I'm sorry, 180 million to 200 million dollars in the 2023 season. A WNBA spokesperson declined to comment on the report, which NBC News hasn't verified. The spokesman also declined to discuss the league financials. So, what happens when you get a no comment on something that would be marketably valuable for your league if it was good news?
All I
means
will
it's
say,
not
Pale,
good
if Caitlyn Clark actually said that statement, that would probably been all over the press. And
She
that
didn't
was,
say it.
yeah, she didn't. She would not probably be dumb enough to say that and have it translated out there in real life. That's you just talked about all the merchandising and money opportunities. If she made that one statement, it's all gone. That's all gone.
They've been losing money, Joe.
Oh yeah, hand over fist, absolutely.
Anybody here wanting to watch Angel Reese?
I'm a big fan of Kim Mulkey and what she's done at Baylor and LSU.
I'm not interested in
really.
watching anyone not named Cameron Brink. Let's even put in, of course, Caitlyn Clark. I wouldn't mind seeing more of Lexi Hall. Obviously, Ionescu, have a lot of respect for her. And definitely someone like Sophie Cunningham. Now, what's the common denominator on most of those athletes?
Other than the race,
No, not the race.
that they're straight women.
Well, that plays a part, but you have to understand, and I don't have the statistics to this because I don't know where to look, but these sellouts that are going on in Washington, Indiana, how many of them are men?
Well, a lot, because they were only drawing in about 4,000 to 6,000 at their peak, and now the Indiana Fever are bringing in more butts in the seats than the Indiana Pacers.
And what do men normally do, activity wise, viewing wise? What do they do more than women?
Watch sports.
Thank you, Sean. And what do women usually watch in their free time?
Soap operas, trash TV.
Thank you, Sean. So, would you say that this league's future and what it can be worth is dependent on a male audience supporting it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now, what do men like when they're watching performers that are female? I mean, I know there's a few things here and there, but what helps? And I'm going to use another sport to make it make sense.
Can
we
you
already talked
repeat
about
that?
this, Sean. What do men like to watch? What have we already seen with good old Jimmy Butler in LA? What do they want to see when they're watching sports with females in it?
Attractive women.
Thank you. We want to get down to the real reason, folks. So I'm going to use a very, very niche sport, which is what the WNBA still is, folks. No matter how much you want to deny it, it's still a niche sport. Any sport that's subsidized, which it is still by the NBA, is a niche sport. It is not able to stand on its own 2 feet, and it's still not able to stand on its own 2 feet. So women's bodybuilding, whom I've told Sean already this, is an extremely, extremely dedicated, disciplined sport. I have immense respect for female bodybuilders. And there was a time in the 80s and the early 90s where you had the Corey Eversons and to some degree the Linda Murrays, even though Linda Murray kind of was in that transitionary period where she started to look more, let's say, large versus feminine. There was a time in women's bodybuilding, and it would happen to be the most popular time, was when the women looked more fitness, female looking. Then it transitioned to more, let's see if we can go all the way as much as we can with the genetics, with the supplements, you know, what supplements I'm talking about, and see if we can better that physique. The problem is it became too male-like. Therefore, the male audience got turned off by it. So what is the WNBA? Who was the most popular basketball player before Caitlyn Clark in the WNBA? Who's the one that everyone knew her name?
No one.
She was stuck in a jail cell in Russia.
Yeah.
Well, Brittany
right?
Griner, but
Brittany Griner. That was your representative. That was the name that everyone knew. And that, unfortunately, is not going to work. Not only is she not appealing personally, obviously the aesthetic isn't there. Plus, she's not really a good promoter of the league or herself. And she's also a terrible person off the court. You guys know of reports of her personal life. So what does this league need?
Why does her personal life make her a terrible person?
Well,
She was accused of
why
physical
did
assault,
Ray
right,
Rice
Joe?
get, why was
that's what I wanted to know. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Joe was alluding to.
why did Ray Rice get kicked out of the NFL? Same reason, right?
Okay.
So the WNBA has a spark here. And what the everyday player that's seasoned, let's say, and the new ones that have come in, what I've seen is, without denial, you're not going to convince me that I haven't seen what I'm seeing, is there is massive jealousy that this person is getting all the attention.
Oh, of course,
Right?
there's going to be. Yeah, I would
Now,
not.
I'm not saying men don't get jealous. I'm not saying men don't get jealous of other men. That's
Why do you think she got that hard shot? As far as
And the hard shot is fine. If this is sports, you got to play rough. You got to.
but that was clearly targeted.
That's fine. Again, that's not really the issue here. The issue right now is the commentary. Oh, she's gonna have to earn it, or she's gonna have to do this.
Well,
she's gonna
yeah,
have to
no
do that.
one brought up Alyssa Thomas elbowing Angel Reese in the neck. That wasn't really brought up.
Yeah, that happened right after it, didn't Magic?
Yeah.
But do you
That was
like
pretty brutal. I saw
that
that.
kind of play, Sean?
No.
No,
No.
not even if it's kind of the whole cat fight thing. That's not something you want to see.
I think healthy competition is a good thing. I wouldn't describe that as healthy competition, Joe.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna play this as clearly as I can without ruffling feathers. There is some bigotry here, and you're never gonna convince me otherwise. I think that's the basis of this. Hard fouls hard fouls play a factor in that, but I'm not mad about a hard foul. This is sports. Sometimes you got to get dirty. I get that, but it's not coming from competition. It's coming from something else. And if you want the league to stand on its own, you're going to have to start making money. And a player like Caitlyn Clark, Cameron Brink, actually good players, you're going to need to start promoting these people, guys. When Magic and Bird came in, they were promoting. Everything was Magic versus Bird, Jordan versus this. This is how it works. The NBA, the WNBA, basketball in general, only has 5 players on the court. One player can make a difference. So
that would likely be one of probably the biggest ratings bonanza for the WNBA, Joe. If in 2 or 3 years the Indiana Fever played the Los Angeles Sparks in the WNBA finals, and you had Clark versus Brink.
Absolutely. And going to the visuals matter in this situation right now. It does matter, and I would highly recommend the WNBA.
It's a part of selling the product.
It is, and you haven't had that for 20. You haven't really never had that. And if you want to appeal to the male audience with the talent, because you still have to have talent, then I highly recommend you try and embrace it. And if your players are not happy with it, tough. Then play out of your mind to the point where you're forcing everybody to watch you play. It matters. At this point, it matters. I'm more interested in is Caitlyn going to be enough to make the WNBA operable on its own? Until you can operate on your own without being supported, I'm never going to take you seriously. And then when you pull acts like this, I'm taking you even less seriously.
again, talking about business decisions, I mean, you talk about her play on the court all you want. They didn't have charter flights before her influence on this sport. These women were clamoring, hammering their league, the NBA, give us charter flights, give us charter flights. We need that kind of support behind us. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark enters the picture, and all of a sudden that happens. And what does women's basketball do to repay Caitlyn Clark? They snub their nose at her and leave her off the Olympic roster. When none of this was possible without her.
Chartered flights, huh?
Yeah.
And who do they need to support that if they can't support it themselves?
They need the NBA support, Joe.
I'll leave it at that. I think you guys get the idea on where I'm going on that. I won't get Gerald's underwear in a ruffle. So, folks, NBA management, NBA leaders, WNBA management, players, executives. You have no room to talk until you can be on your own. It's like basically saying that a child who's got room and board, all their bills paid, their clothes being washed, and yet they're complaining about what kind of washer and dryer their parents are using, or what kind of car they gave them to go to work. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Or are you all in the fantasy world that, wait a minute, that's not how it works, Joe? No, that's exactly how it works. You have financial people that can't answer a simple question about how much money their league made. I'll tell you what they made. They made nothing. They actually lost money, but they don't want to make it public. So they put this $180 million to $200 million little buzz number to show, hey, we made this much. Wow, 180 million, 200 million. Wait a minute. What about salaries? What about charter flights? What about the gear? What about paying coaches? What about incidentals? What about lawsuits? Oh, well, we have insurance. Well, how much are you paying for insurance? If you get a lot of lawsuits,
Joe,
you pay a lot of insurance.
Do you know offhand how much revenue the NBA pulled in 2022, 2023?
I believe it was 10 billion.
10.5. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm up to date on the numbers, Joe. I mean, Sean, I'm
you're Joe. I'm Sean.
So, well, I mean, I forgot because your name is Frank.
Yeah, sometimes it's Frank. That's right.
Yeah, but it's important to understand a little bit. I still can't find the time to read the
collective. Frank hasn't been around while the finals have been going on.
Yeah, very interesting, isn't that, Gerald?
Quite curious.
Frank, where are you?
Yeah, he's with our good friends that We Talk Mavs. So I feel for those guys right now.
Rel's really. I watched the show a couple days ago. They're not having a great time, Gerald.
Yeah, I feel bad for those guys. Those guys really work hard.
They do.
Yeah. So,
and they get this in response. Welcome to our world, boys.
They'll go right back to berating kid again.
Yes, as they should.
So I'm gonna conclude this subject with.
By the way, Gerald, I believe if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jason Kidd would be the first player coach to get swept in NBA finals.
Oh, so he's been swept as a player and a coach?
Yes.
If he loses tomorrow.
Yes.
Dubious on?
Yes.
Should have been the Celtics in 02.
Yeah.
Bastards. But let me put a button on this. Let me put a button on this WNBA thing. In a million years, I would never talk about the WNBA, and I want to thank players like Cameron Brink and Caitlyn Clark for doing that because they're rookies, by the way. So I highly recommend for any WNBA players, executives, or management that are watching this show, you all better start embracing what's coming. Because if you don't take advantage of this little gift that can expand to other things, if you just get along and not pull the stereotype, right? So what do I mean by the stereotype? Well, let me quote the great Al Bundy. Al Bundy had a hilarious line. Obviously, they had writers write it, and he said it though. But I'm just going to use Al Bundy as the contact.
Sean, you're on mute.
Al Bundy said, "Don't try to understand women. Women understand women, and they hate each other." Now, Sean, because I know Gerald's in denial with this, so I'm going to ask you: Is there women? You don't have a right to. Is this simply women hate right now?
Not being a woman, Joe, and from the outside looking in.
If there's any women in the crowd, please let us know.
It feels like it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is a lot of anger,
seething jealousy and bitterness.
Oh, yeah,
so
you can tell.
With that, I'll make another announcement. You all keep this BS up, and your league will be insignificant like it's been for 28 years. Again, until you guys can stand up on your own, you will never amount to anything other than being a side note. So embrace the gift you have right now. That is Caitlyn Clark, and you have a couple other players that are definitely good. Angel Reese, if you're going to sit there and talk about yourself, that people are actually watching basketball because of you, you can go live on Planet Delusional with Gerald.
I also love the fact that you're just like wavering all over the place. You talk about you hating participation trophies, you wanting to reward Victor Wembanyama, based on his merit of his play, but yet you'll go the hypocrite that you are, and saying about, put them on the team because they're good looking.
I never said putting anybody on the Olympic team that's good looking.
Well, you just Cameron Brink and Caitlyn Clark. You're not putting them on the team because of they're playing well. You're putting them on there because they get eyes and attention, because you guys denoted about their attractiveness. You went into this whole
you imagine shit in your brain, and that's what you just spewed out of your mouth.
No, I didn't.
When did I say Caitlyn Clark was this goddess?
I didn't say goddess. You just said attractiveness, eyes. You talked about that. You spoke about that.
Did I say, Sean, did I say that Caitlyn Clark was there because of her attractiveness?
You said about
you didn't call her the literal affirmation of Aphrodite.
I used Cameron Brink because they're 1 and 2 in the draft, and they're both good.
Mm-hmm. She's averaging 8 points a game.
She's a good defensive player.
She's leading the league. I just proved you incorrect.
I don't. Your brain goes somewhere. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I didn't even say any of that stuff.
But hold on a second. Just so we're understanding one another.
I just proved him wrong. Caught him in a pickle.
What the hell are you talking about? Prove me wrong. I didn't even say what you said. I said
Cameron Brink played for Stanford,
prove me what
right?
Wrong?
Brink played for Stanford. Talk out of your
ass, and I didn't even say what I said.
So Cameron Brink played for Stanford.
You didn't get shit. You got nothing. You're making shit up.
Cameron Brink.
I got him the curse. He's been cursing the last few.
No, because if I get you really good, you'll start threatening to get me. Take me off.
Maybe I should be talking to myself at this point.
No, you're not talking to yourself.
It feels like I'm talking to
Joe and I should pick each other out, and then we'll leave you to listen.
Cameron Brink played for the University of Stanford, correct?
Yes,
she did.
How far did Stanford get in the tournament?
I don't remember how far they went this last year.
I don't even remember them being in the Elite Eight or the Final Four.
She didn't win a title her freshman year.
So you're going to put her on the team because she won the freshman year.
When did I say that?
No, you're trying to figure out your reasoning behind putting.
I'm not talking about the Olympics. I'm talking about the WNBA. You guys are talking about the Olympics.
That's great. She won a title in her freshman year. Was she starting in her freshman year?
She was an integral part, from what I heard. Yes.
From what you heard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry,
I don't watch NCAA women's basketball.
So I saw Caitlyn Clark go to back-to-back Final Fours and championships, Joe. So that's great for Cameron.
I think Cameron is leading the league in blocks.
That's great. Very good. Very good player. Just not on the level of Caitlyn Clark.
Probably not. That's why she went 1. But
that being said,
but
overall, had a lot of great points.
well, again, the point of this thing is there's a lot of factors in it.
Yeah, J-Ken saying Sweet 16. That's where Stanford got this year. Okay, thanks a lot, man. But
WNBA
Sweet
players.
16's that's something to write home about. You got made to the Sweet 16. Okay, that's somebody who's been, like you said, integral to success.
How many games have you watched this year? Full games.
Full games. I've watched one Dallas Wings game. I've watched 3 Indiana Fever game. I've watched 2 Liberty games. I try and catch the Aces when they're on the East Coast. I can't stay up for their games. So 2, 5, 6, around 7 games.
So when these sellouts happen to watch Caitlyn Clark, what are they there for?
They're there for Caitlyn Clark.
Are they really there for Caitlyn Clark, or are they there to brag about that they were at a game where Caitlyn Clark was at?
I'm not on social media, so I don't know. Your guess would probably be more educated than mine.
That's a hilarious question, Pale Fox, by the way. That's a hilarious question.
Well, they are.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised in 50 years if some numbnuts pulled that out of their hat. Oh man, I mean, let's just go back in time and just rewrite.
Yeah, let's put women's lingerie.
Napoleon wasn't French, guys. He was Hungarian.
Let's put the women's lingerie football stats in with the NFL. Why don't we do that too?
Sure, absolutely. Let's do it. Well, I think we got out of this.
Did you even watch that, Joe?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I bet you did.
No. If you're gonna add some eye candy,
this is like Seinfeld and the Melrose Place denial. I want you on a lie detector. For
eye
that.
candy has to also have some talent too. I'm not saying it has to be all talent, but the talent has some progression too. It does help.
Darren, we've been talking about Luka trying to get in better shape for about 3 years, going on 4 years now. It's not gonna happen. He's doughy. He's doughy. He's going to be doughy next year. He's going to be doughy the year after that. He's Luka Pillsbury Doughboy Doncic.
And he better get on this before he starts hitting his late 20s. Otherwise, his career is going to be cut short. You'll start seeing more. It will be.
I mean, you're not in tractor trailer territory as far as the muffin top, but you're getting pretty close.
Especially with the amount of activity that
7-Eleven Slurpees he drinks.
His usage is not going to give him. It's just not going to work in the long run. So he better.
No, he's gassed.
Somebody better.
He's more gassed than LeBron is at the end of fourth quarters now.
And LeBron wouldn't get gassed when he was his age.
Never.
So better start doing it now, because if he wants to win a title anytime soon, like right now, I don't know if right now is going to happen, but you better get on it quick. But we escaped the WNBA discussion. I didn't know how we were going to get out of this, Sean. But it looked like we softened up towards the end. Unfortunately, but,
speak for yourself.
But we'll roll with it. You were pretty soft on it too. You didn't
speak for yourself.
You didn't go all in.
I can't. You said there's a limit on what we could say on this show. All right.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
So Sean failed. Gerald failed like he always does.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
Joe failed like he always does.
All he does is threaten.
This jerk.
Threaten to take me off air.
This jerk tells us, something, we should do this and do that, and so I comply, and it's to be fair to Gerald as well, because it's Gerald's show.
I thought it was
Yet
soft.
I can't go all in, and he calls me out for not being able to go all in when he told me I can't go all in.
I never said that.
You jerk.
When the hell did I
You
say you couldn't go all in?
You jerk.
I just gave you a heads up.
I think Luke will still be here in 5 years, but
You're
right,
a jerk.
So Pale Fox says it doesn't hurt to add some eye candy to the Olympic team as long as they would still win. Goes for any country. On the Olympic team is a little different.
Into your brain.
The Olympic team is a little different. That one you want to make sure you win.
So if they bring Caitlyn and
if we're lucky, you fart
and they lose,
in Joe's brain,
would that be targeted? Would that be?
I'm not drinking vodka tonight.
Yeah, fart for brains.
Mm-hmm. Good. I hope it hurts. So, anyways, with that, we're coming. We're at the
immortal words of Chris Benoit today. The immortal words of Chris Benoit.
We're at the end of the rope. Okay, we're at the end of the rope. There's kerosene on it. It's time to light it on fire.
4.5 hours, man. God.
So yeah.
No more complaining that we don't go on and all this stuff.
It's time. Yeah. It's time we put a kibosh on today's events. It's been an interesting one. Been a fun one. For those of you who have stuck around all day with us, thank you for being here. If any comments, any questions, any feeling questions you have, please email us at LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. You can contact me at Joe Soro LFB on X. You can contact me on Instagram at SinBlades_turf or Facebook as Johnny Blade. Just look for the Punisher logo there. So until I guess tomorrow, maybe. Got a busy day tomorrow. I have to see how my schedule turns out. Sean, are you?
Could be the end of the season tomorrow.
Are you anticipating the end of the NBA season tomorrow? I don't know yet. I'm 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So it's likely there's going to be a playback, and I'll do my best to be around. If not, I should be around for Saturday at best, or late on Friday. Again, thank you for being here tonight on the Lakers Nightcap. I guess until next time. Are we all going to do it? Oh, okay. I guess I'll do it on my own. We'll see you next time. Yeah.